Good morning. This is Angela with today's Cup of Tea. So, biggie today, judgment and criticism and releasing them and encouraging acceptance and oneness. And it sounds really easy. Oh, I don't judge. That's the first view. I don't judge, or I try not to judge. You know, it is one of, my opinion, one of the most challenging things to release and clear on our spiritual journeys. And I think the reason for that is because we have done such an awesome job at it. We've done such a great job at allowing the ego to run our activity and our experience here on the earth plane at the 3D level. And from that, the ego tries to, we have set up these partitions to create individuals. And in doing so, we've forgotten that it's pretend. We were pretending that we were separating ourselves. And then we forgot that we were pretending. So then the ego was created to then create this individual need for growth, this need to grow the individual. And in doing so then puts itself in a hierarchy of, am I better or am I worse? Where do I fit? When in essence we're all part of the divinity, and we all have our divine paths. We all have our highest and best. We all have our own path that's getting us back to our the divinity within us to begin with. So core to that hierarchy is putting in judgment and criticism. Well, I'm better than this person because of this. And even if you don't say that, you want to imply that, oh, well, they do this, or this person does this. Or how about self-criticism and self-judgment? Or, oh my God, I can't do that. You know what? Even down to, and I do so much work. I do so much work with myself and with others and in clearings, and I still am clearing stuff out on a regular basis in terms of judgment and criticism. And most of it is within myself. Most of the worst judge and critic for most people are those within themselves, because of what the ego has led the 3D being to believe in the experience. And I'm talking about something even as simple as, oh, I'm going to shoot this webcast again because I don't like the way my hair looked. Seriously, things like that. Because some people won't even get in front of a camera because of that. Some people won't even, they don't like their voice on audio. See, there's all this criticism. Why? Because there is then the perception that there are others who are better. There are others who look better. That, I don't. This is what goes through people's minds. I don't look pretty or handsome enough, or I don't look like I know what I'm talking about. That's all judgment. That's all criticism. That's all that chatter. And where does that chatter come from that I talk about? It comes from the ego. So typically, those judgments and chattering and everything come from something within us that has come up to be cleared. And that judgment or criticism will continue to come up, whether it's for ourselves or on others, until we do look at it. We realize what's the cause of the judgment, and then we can release it and become fluid to all of those, or all within ourselves that fits that bill of whatever judgment or criticism that that was caused, that the feeling behind that was causing it. So, and this goes throughout our entire existence here on earth. So we're all getting through, and I've talked about this so many times, how we've all had such a beautiful individual experience, that our souls have had this very individual experience on how we're going to get back to that path to enlightenment, to the top of the mountain, so we can all see the bright moon, and to that Earth 2.0, to our next level of existence. And some are running up the hill, some are taking, the fast train, some are going at a snail's pace. It doesn't make one right and anyone else wrong. It makes us all right if it is what is best and highest and most positive for us, in our highest and best way. And again, I always say well, we always choose. We choose whether we decide it's got to be painful, or that we have to have drama and illness with it, or if we want to do it with grace and ease. I choose to do it with grace and ease. I know people who choose to do it with trauma, drama, and illness, so that people believe that you can't get to spiritual enlightenment without trauma, drama, or illness, and that's their choice. And I say that's fine. That's your choice. Respect mine, that I do not believe that. I believe that I can do this with grace and ease and balance and harmony and joy. and fun and excitement, adventure, because I'm ready to do that now. Because we are creators, we are all part of the divine, and whatever we've set in and saying, whenever you hear you have to, that, or you must, or you cannot, that is the formation of some sort of judgment, because that implies that if you don't, or if you do, that you're not whatever, or that you don't fit into a certain bill. And so, like I said, see what I'm saying? How many of these are just so built into our societies, in our worlds, within ourselves. So the key is to come back, and this goes even all the way up through all kinds of beliefs, all belief systems, all religions, all spiritual gurus. And in some way or another, it's how many times have you heard, you have to do this to get here, you have to do this? I was told very clearly the only absolute in this universe is love. That's the only absolute. Everything else was laws that we have created throughout this existence for some purpose or other, for these lessons that we have. So that somebody says to you, you must do this to gain spiritual enlightenment. You must do this way, or you have to suffer, you have to do this, you must not do this, you can't do this at all. That is limiting. That's putting up more walls. And so we're trying to take down the walls. We're trying to take down the walls and connect back together to oneness, and bring all of our individual experiences to the table and make it such a colorful, colorful mix of that total experience that we've had throughout this existence, and the beauty of the whole thing. I love debate. I love debate without ego. And doing that is rather challenging for many people, because a lot of times the ego wants to take over and say, well, I'm right and you're wrong. And that's what, and people say, well, that's what debate's all about, isn't it? But how many times have you sat at a table and been in the same place with another person or other people, and then you've heard somebody recount the same experience that you guys all had together, and yet everybody had a completely different perspective on it? That's how we're going about this. That's how we're going about this whole spiritual awakening, is we are utilizing our individual perspectives. Now, here's the key. The ego takes over and says, well, I'm right and they're wrong. We're trying to say, ego, thank you very much, but we need to assimilate with the whole picture. And you know what? If they believe it and they got a lesson from it, from their perspective, that is the right perspective for them. So that has the same equation for anything in our lives, including the spiritual enlightenment, including our perspective on how things go or how things should go. But like I said, what's very, very tricky is that there are many in the spiritual and religious world that say, we're right, or I'm right and everyone else is wrong, or I'm right and they're wrong, or we're right and they're wrong. No, we all are right. If it is our lesson, it is our lesson. It is our path. And we can choose. We are part of the divine. We are allowed to choose and say, I will do this without trauma, drama, or illness, and I will do this with fun and grace and ease and balance and harmony and joy and excitement and adventure, because that's the way I want to do it. Or I want to do it with the pain and martyrdom and all that kind of stuff. Well, that's your choice. But releasing judgment is saying, okay, that's okay with you, that's okay for you, and this is okay for me, and I love listening to your perspective on it, and this is my perspective on mine, and let's just agree to disagree. And many times when you can have that kind of conversation, you can release those judgments of others within yourself, because then you get educated, you start to understand things more. And this opens up into a much broader perspective and a much broader topic. But let's get back to the judgment piece for a moment, because I'm getting short on time. Here's your homework for this week. Take a little notepad, and I want you to notice one judgment that you make every day, because everyone does, and including, like I said, I do all this clearing, and I still have these things that come up, and most of the time, more often myself than anybody else. And when you hear that judgment in your head or come out of your mouth, write it down and look at it, and then ask your higher self, say, why do I have this judgment? What can I do to what does this bring up in me that that I'm ready to release, understand, get the lesson from, release it, and then have full acceptance of this situation, this person, or whatever that has caused this judgment within me. One a day, and I promise you that we all have at least one a day. We have many more than that, no matter how far along this path we are, because, like I said, I think one of the last ones we let go of is the judgment within ourselves, because of what we've been taught and all the great experience that we've had. So, in closing, I want to also do a clearing. The clearing for today is to get Creator's truth and understanding and clarity on judgment and criticism, and what that is, truth versus perspective versus actuality, and how to release that, how to release judgment and criticism, how to come into full acceptance, how to come into and understand oneness while also enjoying and celebrating the individual path that we each have that is right for us. Receive an instantaneous download with fully conscious understanding of any other lesson that we are to get regarding judgment and criticism, to get all the feelings on releasing that judgment and criticism and on coming to acceptance and oneness, all the feelings that it's possible, that you're allowed, that it's okay to, that it's safe to, that you're ready, willing, and able to, that you have that in your life, how it feels to have all that. And we are going to then release all beliefs that we have to judge others as part of this existence, that there's any judgment in terms of divinity that we are releasing all of that, releasing all beliefs around that, transforming those to Creator's light, sending them back to Creator, closing receptors, opening new ones, and importing great and downloading wonderful these beliefs from Creator on full acceptance and what it is, on that we can be in full acceptance and still be different, that we can feel our oneness and still have our individuality without judgment or criticism, and all the feelings along with that, and that we can write this off as a completed lesson, that we can clear it to infinity, and offer it to any ancestors and descendants. So to do that, let's clear our minds, take a few deep breaths, and just say, yes, judgment, to receive. And that's it. So have a great day. We'll see you Thursday. This is Angela with Today's a Cup of Tea.